So, there are a couple people, and by a couple I mean 6, that knew that Joe Manchin was a piece of shit. One of them was Jamaal Bowman. Now, again, there were 6 members of the Democratic Party that voted against the bipartisan infrastructure deal. Oh, and that came to the House because the original plan was to have that voted on and through the Senate with the social spending bill because according to Joe Manchin, he wanted the bipartisan infrastructure bill to pass, right? Now, I'm not convinced. He might have just voted down both of them. But again, the Democratic Party got played, the Progressive Caucus got played, but the squad did not get played. And so Jamaal Bowman, one of those people, along with Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, Cori Bush, AOC, and I think that's them. Jamaal Bowman has something to say about Joe Manchin, saying he thinks that low-income parents are going to spend their child tax credits on drugs. Now, again, I will tell you, I know for a fact that happens. There is no way to deny that any parent ever has spent their kids' money on drugs. That's just the society that we live in. But again, that means you're going to demonize and destroy the financial lives of the other 99% of parents that are struggling just to get by? Because of a couple bad people that are in a bad place? No, I'm sorry. That's fucking bullshit. But anyway, Jamaal Bowman posted this video of him going on MSNBC to discuss.
I don't know. I want to bring in Congressman Jamaal Bowman, Democrat from New York and a member of the Progressive Caucus. Congressman, thanks for being back on the show. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
I don't even know where to start at the moment because there is so much news today. But let me begin, I think, at the beginning with your reaction to Joe Manchin being a no on Build Back Better. I know you said a couple of months ago you were pretty, to use your word, you were pretty pissed at Senator Manchin when some of these concessions were being made. Now there's some reporting from NBC News that part of the reason that Senator Manchin is concerned is because he worried some parents could use the child tax credit payments to buy drugs or use paid time leave.
Now, isn't it incredible, by the way, that MSNBC hosts are just saying, yeah, that's what he said. Not like if I had Jamaal Bowman on my show, I'd be like, can you believe what this fucking asshole just said? He said that all parents are going to spend their money on drugs instead of their kids. Can you fucking believe that shit? How do you feel about that, Jamaal Bowman, knowing that you, along with 5 other Democrats, saw that bullshitter fucking for what he is and voted against his little stupid plan? How do you feel about that? But instead, the MSNBC person is just like, oh, yeah, that's his concern. He's concerned.
Paid leave time, rather, to go hunting, according to sources familiar with those comments. So what is your message, given all this, to Senator Manchin?
Well, first of all, it was infuriating to hear the senator pretty much try to kill the Build Back Better Act yesterday, piggybacking on me being pissed many months ago when it was continuously being gutted. And when I hear that he doesn't trust our parents to do right by their own children with the child tax credit payments, it takes me back to the Ronald Reagan days and when people used to use language like welfare queens to describe what's happening with single parents.
On that subject, Joe Manchin has before said that he doesn't want to do any social spending bills because he thinks it's going to create an entitlement society. So he has literally used like almost identical language, at least identical in meaning.
In our communities. You know, it seems to be a disconnect between what Manchin thinks is happening on the ground with real people and what's actually happening in their lives and how people are yearning to get back to work, but they don't have childcare. He seems to not understand that the child tax credit lifted 50% of children out of poverty and helped the economy to move forward. And it's important for us to continue that at least for a year, but I would love to see it put in place permanently. But as we know, Manchin is also against corporations paying their fair share and taxing the wealthy elite. It's also important to recognize that it seems that Manchin is more responsive, Manchin and people like him, because he's representative of something bigger. He's more responsive to his donors and to lobbyists than he.
So this is an important part of this. And this is like, now again, Joe Manchin is in the spotlight. He's enemy number 1. Do I think if Joe Manchin goes back? I think personally, Kirsten Sinema, I always forget what her name is. But I think she's more likely to then become the rotating villain. But again, it's very important to call this out because Joe Manchin is not a person. He's not a person. He is a drone. He is an artificial intelligence. He is a robot programmed by the owners of this country. The billionaires, the millionaires, the giant industries, the medical insurance industry, the pharmaceutical industry, big tech, all this fucking stupid garbage that you hear all the time. Those groups control politicians like Joe Manchin so thoroughly and so absolutely that, again, if you were to do scientific experiments on Joe Manchin's physiology, I would bet you money that there would be no sign of intelligent life. If you look and do these same experiments on a rock in the ground, right, you will find very similar, capacities of intelligent life. They are drones, they are robots, they are artificial intelligences programmed. Now, again, I'm not trying to say this as in a literal sense. I'm using this as hyperbolic metaphor. But again, because I don't want to be misinterpreted. But again, these what I'm saying is they're not honest actors. They're not good faith actors, right? They are always going to lie. They will lie. They're horrible, horrible people, if you can even call them people. So again, and it's important to understand what the relationship is between these big money institutions and these politicians. It is absolute. It is not, oh yeah, they're just leaning in that direction. They're 100% corrupted and beholden to these institutions and special interests. There is no other way around it. They are not rational actors. They are not honest actors. They are the puppets of these giant institutions.
Is to the people of West Virginia. I mean, West Virginia has the 7th highest child poverty rate in the country and one of the highest poverty rates overall. And we have to look in the mirror and decide what kind of country we want to be and what does Building Back Better really look like. And we cannot have a member of our own party killing a major part of the president's agenda.
So here's something I would say, just to tack this on for liberals. Everyone in the Democratic Party should start saying that Joe Manchin should leave the party. Because Joe Manchin, a couple months ago, it was reported that Joe Manchin had privately threatened to leave the Democratic Party and become an American independent. Okay. I say House and Senate and President, right, the leadership should all say, all right, Joe Manchin, get the fuck out of our party, and they should censure him. They should do all the stops. Bully this motherfucker. Go on television. Say this fucking asshole's daughter price gouged people so to the point where they died because they couldn't get access to EpiPens. Do the whole fucking thing. But they're not going to do that because they don't really care. But let's keep going.
And that's why it might be on the deathbed, but we're going to make sure we're going to resurrect it to make sure it passes at some point.
I should note that Senator Manchin's spokesperson told our team that he's made clear he supports the child tax credit, believes the money should be targeted to those who need it most, and has also expressed support for a paid leave program that has a dedicated, sustainable funding mechanism. You say you believe that
those are words that don't mean anything. He's not voting for the bill. If he said that he thinks the parents are going to spend the money on drugs, right? But then he voted for the bill anyway and said that he's just kind of concerned about it, but he's not going to do anything about it. That's one thing. It's still a little silly, but at least, it's not impeding the fact that 98.973% of parents are not going to do that, right? But he's voting against the bill. He's not going to vote, or he doesn't even want to vote, right? So it's it doesn't matter if he said that. You can't just say oh well, no, I overall support it. Obviously you don't. Obviously you do not support it overall. Oh yeah, I think some people might abuse paid sick leave, but overall I'm in favor. Obviously not. You are in favor. You are not voting for the fucking legislation. But again, MSNBC host is just going to say, yeah, this is what he said. That's just what he said. As if it's yeah, that's the statement. It's obviously nonsensical. It makes no sense at all. It's a bunch of bullshit, but it's the statement. And this is why most Americans are fucking stupid. Because most Americans watch this shit and they go oh, well, Joe Manchin, that's, I say, those are concerns, but overall he's supportive. But he's not.
This can be resurrected. You heard the White House say repeatedly, as we just heard from Jen Psaki, that President Biden is going to, in their words, work like hell to try to get it done. Given everything that the progressives specifically have been through over the last couple of months, taking the president's word that this deal was nailed, et cetera, do you trust the president when he says he's going to work like hell to finish this?
Say no?
I trust the president. I don't know about trusting Manchin.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. If Joe Biden says he's going to get it done, like, what's the next plan? Susan Collins? Lisa Murkowski? That's what motherfuckers are saying on Twitter and shit. They're like, all right, what kind of Republicans can we fucking pick off here? If you cannot get the votes, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So I would say, fuck the president. I would say, I'm acting on my own accord. Did you know there's all these corruption scandals revolving Joe Manchin? That's what I would say. But I mean, I'm not in that position. So I'm sure Jamaal Bowman's threading a needle here. But let's listen to what he has to say.
There are other senators over there that we have to question in terms of where they stand, because Manchin is often out front and then other senators come behind.
So this is a good point, actually. This is a really good point. Is, again, let's say Joe Manchin changes his mind. And then Kyrsten Sinema, right? It's a rotating villain theory.
Like Senator Sinema, and also object to certain provisions. Hopefully that is not the case. I mean, this has been a year-long negotiation regarding Build Back Better. And this will be historic investments in dealing with the issue of climate change, in public housing, and reducing drug costs, particularly insulin drug costs, and making sure our seniors are taken care of. We're talking about the largest expansion of public education with universal pre-K since we built public high schools. This is how we rescue our democracy and create a healthy society, economy, and environment for our children and our grandchildren. So this has to get done. And I'm glad the White House came out with a strong statement. And I'm glad Senator Schumer said that he is going to bring Build Back Better to the forefront.
Okay, so I did not know that was news. So apparently Chuck Schumer says he's going to bring it to a floor vote. That's actually good. I might actually talk about that. I'm going to read that statement. So that's news to me because, I'm just waking up here. But anyway, again, this is why it's good to have people like Jamaal Bowman in Congress. And this is why I say, if you are a leftist, if you are someone that believes in this stuff, you should try as hard as you can to primary Democrats in every single capacity from the left. Always try to support the most left-wing challenger in a primary. They can win. Also, an important factor is to consolidate. Really, if you have 3 progressives running in a fucking primary and then 2 corporatists, the 2 corporatists are going to consolidate that easily. You need to consolidate. There should only be one progressive option, in my opinion. And again, you can have an early part of the primary to figure that out, right? That's fine. But again, consolidation is important. Strategy. You need, and that's only if you want to participate in the electoral process. If you just want to say, fuck all this shit, what would be another good way to spend your time? Union organizing, right? Mutual aid organizing, trying to help, feed people. Again, there's going to be a lot of starving children in the next year, according to Joe Manchin, right? So, find ways to help in your immediate vicinity if you can. But again, it's important to have people that are, further to the left than any U.S. politician pretty much ever, talking on TV. Because again, there's going to be that section of people that go, that are probably really mad. Maybe they love Joe Biden, and now they hate Joe Manchin, right? Because he's destroying the president's agenda, and now they're hearing Jamaal Bowman, someone they might not have had a great opinion of before, but he's, sticking up for Biden and going after Manchin and saying all this other stuff. Again, it's moving that whole thing in a good direction. So that's my opinion. But anyway, fuck Joe Manchin. All my homies hate Joe Manchin.